There he is.
There he is.
Good,
Yay.
good morning, or afternoon, or whatever time it is.
What
Good
area
afternoon.
what area of the
Midday.
planet are you visiting right now, Dr. John?
I'm still in Houston.
Okay. That's a long stint for you.
It is a very rare thing. So I'm in a few weeks. I head back to the ship, but I'm been here with the kiddos and doing training program after training program every day.
Right. I was kind of chuckling with Alana last week, and she was saying that there was a time where you were on such a long tour, you only visited Houston once a year for almost 14 years. And is that true?
Well, I'd sometimes I popped in the office, I think, for 10 minutes so far since I've been here. But sometimes I'm even in Houston, I don't still don't get to the office. They keep
Man
me
on a
busy.
mission. Yeah.
They keep me out of trouble.
Well,
If I don't keep busy, I get in trouble. I'm mischievous.
Alana's been doing just a wonderful job. So even though she's not on the call, kudos to her because I know she does such a great job running the Institute for the North
I
American.
just delegated her to close out. We're in the middle of the training program, so they're finishing up right about now.
Right.
And I gave her so she's doing the instructions until so they go to lunch.
Well, she's capable. She can do it. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
So thank you so much for hopping on and offering to do an expo sort of summary recap of what we covered and what you covered. And the number one dominant question that everyone was asking, and I'd love for you to cover this, is how does one identify their values as well as how can they increase some of the things that they want to increase other values?
Okay. So first of all, I was interested in values since 1978. And I asked the question, why do some people walk the talk and some people limp their life? Why do some people do what they say and some people don't? And I wanted to know the solution to that. And I found out that people who are setting goals that are aligned and congruent with what they value most on the hierarchy of their values, uh, they increase the probability of achieving what they say and walking their talk. And the ones that are setting goals that aren't their highest values progressively decrease that probability. So I want to know how do we determine what these values are? And most of the literature that I kept coming across, which is limited in English, um, was about how we ought to be as moral philosophers differentiated how we ought to be versus how we are. So there's an ought and an is. This is how we are. That's the is. And this is how we ought to be. And there's a lot of idealisms by ideologues that have been promoted about how we're supposed to be. That when you ask people about their values, they'll tell you, well, truth, integrity, peace, and they'll give you cliches that is popular in society, but their life's not demonstrating it. So I had to figure out a way of differentiating the difference between is and ought, and try to make it as objective as I could. So I found 13 parameters, 13 determinants that gave me some higher probability of that. There's no absolute perfect way that I've seen, but this is at least the most objective I was able to create so far. The first one is space. You look at how you fill your most intimate and individual space, because anything that's not valuable to you, you won't let in. But anybody that is valuable, you'll let into your space. Just think about relationships. They're not going to get to kiss you or hold you or hug you right in your intimate space, which is a foot and a half around you, unless you allow them in. They have to be valuable enough to let them in. And somebody you don't want around you, you're not letting them in. They're invading your space. And the same thing with things that are valuable to you. If somebody gives you something that's really valuable to you, you keep it close to you. It's dear to you. And things not, it's separated. Now, so space is divided into a topology and by a science called proxemics. And proxemics has your intimate space is 0 to 1.5 feet. Your individual personal space is 1.5 feet to 4 feet. Your social space is 4 feet to 12 feet. And then your public space is anything beyond 12. So one is proximal and one is distal. And proximal is the intimate space. And distal is the public space. Because distal is distance. If you study anatomy, you have proximal and distal anatomy directions. So the first thing I do is identify what do you keep in your most intimate to personal individual space, which is within 1.5 feet of you to 4 feet. What are the 3 most consistent items, objects, or people that you keep in that space? That's the first determinant. Now, in my case, I'm right now exactly right. That distance right there is 18 inches away. That's 1.5 feet. Now, I may go back to 22 inches, but I'm rarely more than that far away. So this is an object, a computer I'm in front of 14 to 17, 18 hours a day, many times. So if I look, the object that's in my space is my computer. I spend the most time and fill the most intimate space with my computer. I spend more time on my computer than I do with my kids. I spend more time on my computer than I do shaving or anything else I do, even eating. So if I look very carefully, my computer is the item that stands out. Then I ask in that item, what is the absolute dominant use for that? Well, I use it for teaching predominantly. Next, research. That's basically it. Teaching and research is what the dominant use of my computer is. So what I'm really saying is the number one thing in my space is my computer, and the number one reason I have it there is for teaching purposes. So I put down computer and teaching. And I get 3 answers. What's the second most close thing I keep in my space consistently? My cell phone. Now, that's only for the last 3 to 4 years since COVID. I didn't have a cell phone until COVID. And I only did that because I was asked to speak to 100,000 people on a WhatsApp live. I got a phone for that because it gave me an opportunity to teach. So I'm researching on this constantly. So the number one use, I talk to my girlfriend, I talk to my kids, I talk to my director, but that's minuscule compared to how much I spend time researching on it. So I put my second most important item that I carry with me, literally with me. I'm traveling. It's right next to me. I use it a lot. You're measuring what you keep in your space that you engage in with your sensory awareness and your motor activities. So I'm on my computer looking at things and interacting with it constantly. My phone, I'm pretty well interacting with it pretty regularly. So what's the dominant use of my phone? Research. I do more research on my phone than anything else my phone's use. Then I look, now right now I'm in a hotel. So, but normally I'm sitting on my ship and I'm in my apartment and I've got Encyclopedia Britannica sitting underneath my computer because that way my neck's not hunched over all day. So I stick them up on books and I put my computer up on 3 encyclopedias. And every so often throughout the day, multiple times a day, I pull out and I read 5 or 10 pages just to feed my mind information from encyclopedias. And then I put them back. So I'm interacting with my encyclopedias. And again, that's research. So if I look at my space reveals that teaching and researching are on the top. Just looking at my space. After I get 3 answers, that gives me an idea. And the reason I only get 3 answers is I want to make sure I get the top 3 values. I want to know what the top ABCs are, the highest priority ones. Then I look at time, how I spend my time, what do I make time for, how is my spent time used? Well, if I really take hour by hour throughout the day, you will find that teaching, I do more hours of teaching than anybody you probably ever met. I'm at 260 presentations already this year. And this particular program is 11 to 12 hours in a day. Some are 14 and 15 hours a day. So if I look at clocked hours, I spend most of my time teaching. If I'm not teaching, and during my teaching, when there's workout sessions, I'm researching articles because I'm being articles sent to me throughout the day for experts around the world. So I'm researching and teaching. So if I look at my time, it's teaching. If it's not teaching, it's researching. The others are way off the chart compared to that. That's where most of my time is, teaching and researching. Now, I'm also traveling because I live on my ship or I'm usually flying. This is rare that I'm in one spot very long. So I'm moving. So I travel a lot. So if I look at how many hours I'm actually traveling, either by flight or by sail, that's massive. So my time is spent teaching, researching, and writing, because I research and write at the same time, and travel. So those are the top three things that my life demonstrates. I'm not interested in what I fantasize about. I'm not interested in what I think it should be or ought to be or supposed to be. I'm interested in what my life is demonstrating daily. What is actually the fact? The fact, not the fantasy. I want to know what the fact is, because that's what because every decision you make is based on what you believe will give you the greatest advantage or disadvantage at any moment. That's why you're doing it. So I look at where I'm spending my time, how I'm spending my time, and how I'm filling my space. Now, can you see that they're both pointing to the same thing? Teaching, researching, and traveling so far. Teaching and researching at the top on the first one, space, teaching, researching, and traveling on the second one. The third one is energy. Whenever you're doing something high in your energy, high in your values, your energy goes up. Anytime you're doing something low in your values, energy goes down. How many agree when you're getting to do something you love to do, you have the energy for it, but when you're doing something that's not inspiring, you go, oh, drained. Okay, so where's most of my energy? What do I do that maximizes my energy, and what do I always have energy for? Well, if you looked at my schedule, you would probably go, oh my God, because I'm sometimes up at 12 o'clock at night, starting at 1 o'clock in another country, and then speaking all the way till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I'm doing another program, or I'm doing a podcast till 8 o'clock, and then I'm back up at 1 o'clock again. So if I look at my energy levels, as long as I'm teaching, there's no problem. But if you ask me to go socialize or do something else, I don't have the energy for it. But I have energy for teaching and researching and writing. No problem. And I can travel. I'm about to, I got crazy flying schedules if I'm not sailing. So no problem there. So I'm looking, and what I look at it, what do I get the most energy from? Teaching. I can teach all day long. Researching, if I'm not teaching, I'm looking stuff up. I'm even looking up stuff while I'm teaching. I'm doing it while I'm teaching. We're looking stuff up as a part of the teaching mechanisms. We're looking stuff up and researching together. So I'm pretty neurotic about it. But then if I look at that, it's showing up teaching, researching, and traveling. I have energy for travel. I can work while I'm traveling. The fourth thing is money. What do you spend your money on? Where's most of your money going? And what do you always find money for? Now, this one's slightly different because when I was in my 20s, we didn't have internet. So we had to read books and articles. So I was buying 40 to 70 books a week on average back when I was in my 20s, and devouring books, at least 4 to 7 or 8 or 9 a day. And the process of doing that, now it's all online. I can go online. I don't have to do anything. So my money doesn't go to books anymore. It doesn't go to educational programs. I'm getting paid to do those things now. So I look very carefully. My money mainly goes towards my business, which is education, my travels, and my investments. So if I look at those, the teaching business, the research and writing is not where my money goes anymore, but I'm doing it extensively, but I don't have to spend money on it because it's all online. It's cheap. But I spend quite a bit of money on travel and then investments. So if I look at how much I travel, I spend at least $500,000 or more a year on travel, at least. And then I'm also investing. So most of my money goes to investments. Half of it goes to business, and travel, and the other goes into investments. So I just put it all into investments and let my money work for me. Then the next one, and again, that's slightly different, but teaching still shows up. Traveling shows up. Research is there, but it's not showing up as much as investment. So investment shows up there. I go to number 5. Where am I most ordered and organized? Where do I have the greatest degree of order and organization? My knowledge is without a doubt where most of it is. I have a tremendous amount of organized knowledge. It's almost incomprehensible how much information I have sitting on my computer accessible. I know where everything is. I know how to access it. I know where to put it. So organized knowledge is for teaching purposes, for the purpose of teaching. And by the way, my travel is for the sake of teaching because I'm teaching while I'm on the ship or I'm going and flying to teach. So even my travels for the sake of teaching. My investments are for the sake of teaching too. My investments are going towards honoring people who are great minds that are contributing to the world for the sake of teaching. But if I look at where I'm most organized, my organization is my teaching, my research, and travel. I have an itinerary that's 2 years in advance. I know where I'm going to be. I've got specialists to take care of it. I've got itineraries and concierge to take care of it. But I also have investments that are highly organized. My investments are automated. They're done weekly. I'm buying assets and companies every single week. It's electronically done. It's completely organized and ordered where it's going, how it's being asset accumulated. So if I look carefully, it's a combination of my business of teaching, my travels, right? It's organized, my research, and my investments. So I'm going to put investments and travel as they're kind of equal, and the other two are higher. So those are the same answers again. They keep showing up. If I'm honest, you got to be honest with the answers. You can't write down what you hope it will be in the future. You can't write down your fantasy about what you wish it would be. It's got to be what your life is demonstrating right now with evidence. That's the key. It's all about evidence. There's no evidence. It's all delusion, fantasy. The next one is where are you most disciplined and reliable and focused? What is it that your innermost dominant thought is? What are you really disciplined on? And what is it you're absolutely clear, reliable to do? You can count on me to be teaching. I'm on my lunch break. Here I am teaching again. Okay, you can count on me to do that. I didn't know about this till yesterday. They said, can you do this at lunch tomorrow? Sure. So teaching, I'm reliable. Researching and writing, you can guarantee it. I have evidence of it. If you look at the amount of research and you look at how much writing I've done, it's incomprehensible. The thousands and thousands of articles and hundreds of books. So if you then look at the travels, 21 million miles, it's got to have evidence. If there's no evidence, it's bullshit. And investments, there's evidence. I'm multimillionaire, very, very wealthy man. There's evidence that I've consistently done that 42 years, every single week, bought assets. So where am I disciplined? Where am I reliable? You can count on me. You can't count on me to go to social functions. You can't count on me to be working out. I do that once a week. But you can count on me to do those 4 things. Teach, research and write, travel, and invest. Now, I'm a boring guy, but this is what I love. I've delegated everything else away. Boring to somebody who has a different set of values. Anybody's got a similar set of values wouldn't call me boring. I don't know about what your values are. How many of you probably think I couldn't do that? That would be boring. And how many of you there probably think, well, I could do that. I wish I could do that. There's probably a little of both, isn't there? Yes, no? Now, it all depends on your value structure. The next one is, what are you thinking about how you would love your life to be that shows evidence coming true? Now, since I was 17, I had a dream of traveling the world teaching. I love that. It's come true. So what is it you absolutely love to do that you think about how you would love your life to be that shows evidence coming true? I've thought about traveling the world and teaching since I was 17, right before my 18th birthday. It's been a vision of mine since then. I'm doing it 52 years. I wanted to learn and be a scholar. There's evidence. I want to travel the world, go to every country, and I want to be financially independent. Now, that didn't start till 27, really. It was just fantasy until 27. 27, I got serious. Those are consistent. I jokingly say I want to be an international sex symbol, but there's no evidence, zero evidence. There's cobwebs around that area. So in the process of doing that, I got to look at where the evidence is. That's an important part. Not just what do I want it to come true, what would I would love to happen. Where's the evidence? No evidence, it's BS. The next one, and I get 3 answers. And mine is teach, research and write, travel, and build wealth. There's 4 there really that they're close, because 2 of those are pretty close. And they're automated. My travels are automated. I don't do that. I don't do anything. I have people that take care of that. The same for the investments. It's automated. Somebody else takes care of it. But the teaching, researching, and writing, I'm doing. The next one is, what are you visualizing about how you would love your life to be that shows evidence coming true? Because thinking is primarily the frontal cortex and off to the parietal a little bit. And now the visualizing is the occipital cortex and the occipital temporal parietal junction there. So you look at, these are areas of the brain that are being lit up, and if they're all synchronous and they're congruent, you know you've got congruency. So what are you visualizing? Well, my dream was to travel around the world and teach. I want to be financially independent, be on my way to billionaire. I want to be able to have, meet amazing people. So I wrote out what it is I want, what do I visualize, and what's happening. So again, and being a scholar, I want to be able to have the broadest, most in-depth knowledge in human behavior of anybody that's ever lived on the planet. So I work for that every single day. So I basically am scanning through and looking at it. And again, the same patterns there. There will be a pattern when you're doing this exercise. There'll be a pattern that will repeat over and over again if you're congruent, if you're honest with your answers, because these all are asking the same question: what's highest in your value? The next one is, what exactly is it that you internally dialogue to yourself about most, about how you want your life that shows evidence coming true? What are you saying to yourself about how you would love your life to be that shows evidence coming true? If there's no evidence, don't write it. If it's not what you're saying to yourself about how you would love your life. Some people want to, when they first hear that, they want to write down what they fantasize, but there's no evidence. Or they want to write down what their evidence is, but they don't want. But it's got to be all 3. What is it you internally saying to yourself about how you would love your life that shows evidence? Well, easily for mine, it's teach, research and write, travel the world, become financially independent doing it. I wanted to do what I loved and get handsomely paid. So my vocation and vacation were the same. I didn't have to, most people were trying to go, I make money over here and then I want to spend money over here. I wanted to be able to get paid doing what I love doing. So I'm being wealthy doing it. So I don't have to go take a vacation. I don't even care about a vacation. It's not even something on my radar. My life's a vacation. The next one is, what do you bring conversations to? What do you want to talk about? What's the external dialogue? What do you want to talk about most, and what do you keep bringing conversations to? And if people start talking about it, you lead the conversation and get engaged. You can probably guess mine. Anything to do with human behavior and research that I'm working on, wealth building, or travel, I'm in. But you start talking about cupcakes, cooking, cars, social politics, IT, rugby games, sports, zero, I tune out. Unless it's a client. That makes sense. If it's a client that I'm working with, it's going for the gold medal or something like that, then I'm in, because I'm engaged in that. I'm assisting in that area. But other than that, I'm tuned out. You start talking about it, I tune out and could fall asleep almost. My reticular activating system filters things out according to my values. The next one is, what inspires you most? What brings tears of inspiration? Because that's a sign of authenticity. What brings tears of inspiration to you? We've all had moments we have that tear. What is it? What's common to the things that bring a tear of inspiration to you? Now, mine is, as I'm researching and writing things, every time I get something, I go, wow, I want to share that. That's inspiring. I can't wait to share that. I get a tear researching it, and I get a tear sharing it. So I get to teach something that inspires me. I get to fill my mind with what inspires me. I get inspired by the places I get to travel. I mean, I've been around the world. I've spoken 160 countries. I've been to most every continent. I've spoken to friggin' Antarctica. I mean, no matter where it is, I get to go. I get to do it. And I'm inspired by the idea that I lived on the streets as a panhandling bum, and now I'm living on the best yacht on the planet with tons of money. That what's possible if you set your mind to doing something, what you're capable of doing. It inspires me to see the difference of what was possible and seeing other people and inspiring other people to do the same, whatever that means being for them, meaningful to them. But what inspires you? What's common to the things that inspire you? The next one is, what are the 3 most consistent, persistent goals that you have that are coming true, that shows evidence of coming true? The 3 most consistent, persistent goals you have. If there's no evidence, don't write them. I've had many goals in my life, and slowly but surely I narrowed them down to what was true. I started out with quite a few fantasies originally, and I had to narrow it down because I realized you come to know yourself after a while. You find out what's really committed to and what's not. And you have to clear out all the cobwebs of what's not. You know, I had quite a few, when I was in my 20s, I had quite a few ideals about what I was going to do. And then I realized that's not really my commitment. What's really my life demonstrating I'm committed to, and narrowing it down and getting truthful about it. And look at what's the 3 most consistent, persistent goals: traveling the world and teaching, scholarly researching and writing. And that's probably the top ones. Somebody's knocking at my door. The next one is wealth building, but that one is not. That's number 4. That's not the top 3. Somebody's trying to get. Can you come back in an hour?
It's probably just your clock changer.
Well, they're cleaning they want to clean.
Okay.
I have a clock changer on the ship because we change time zones all the time. The last one is, what is it you can't wait to study, learn, read, and feed your mind and you want to do? What do you watch on YouTube most? What do you read most? What area of the bookstore do you go to most? Most people have an area of the bookstore they go to, or an area online that they go to, or a website that they keep searching at, or a podcast you keep going to. What's common to the things you want to feed your mind? Because if you want to feed your mind, what's most important? Now, I'm broad. I'm very broad because I've studied a lot of different fields, but it's all related to human behavior. But it's quite diverse. So I've got, 300 different disciplines I'm devouring for the sake of human behavior. But what is common to it? The common denominator. What's the common thing to what you want to feed your mind and you keep wanting to learn? You'll see if you video record yourself and look at what you keep wanting to learn, you'll see there's a pattern to it. How many of you can see there's a pattern of things you keep wanting to learn? Either finance, spirituality, personal development, whatever it may be. Travel. Once you get all 13 answers, 3 answers each, or 4 answers, or 5. If you do 3 answers, you'll end up with 3 to 5 values. 4 answers, you'll get 5 to 7 values. 5 answers, you'll get 7 to 10 values. If you want to look at the whole hierarchy, you may do 5 answers. If you just want to find out the top 3, you do 3 answers. That's mainly what I'm interested in. I want to know what the top 3 are. If I want to change values, I may want to expand that and get 5 answers to see where something is on my value list. Because you may find out the top 3, wealth building is not even in the list. Or top 4. Most people don't have wealth building in the top 4. And that's why they don't have financial independence. If they don't have it in the top 4, it's not going to happen. I've seen that over and over again, interviewing people that are extremely wealthy and extremely impoverished. Their values dictate their financial destiny. So I look at that. Then I go and I look at the answers and I look at which one repeats most frequently, second most frequently, third most frequently, and that's the top value, second value, and the third value. So it's an assessment. It's based on how integral you are in your answers. But if you look at what your life's demonstrating, imagine a drone watching over you. Does the drone see what you're saying? If the drone doesn't see that and it wouldn't catch that, then you're bullshitting yourself. So you want to make sure it's legit. Because the value of this is valuable, because if you start structuring your life onto the top 3 values, particularly the top one, your fulfillment level is going to go up, your energy is going to go up, your intelligence is going to go up, your area of expertise. And if you delegate the lower party things, you're going to start excelling. And I've seen what happens. I learned that when I was 27 years old. Delegate everything but the top values. Don't wait. Every time you do something low in your value, you devalue yourself. Anytime you do something high in your value, you value yourself. If you want the world to value yourself. If you keep doing lower party things, you'll devalue yourself, and so will the world. The world's going to kick you in the ass to teach you to make sure you live by your highest value. Your highest value is your identity. It revolves around it. Your purpose revolves around it. And your area of knowledge and expertise revolve around it. So don't waste your time on any lower priority things if you want to go and master your life. Now, that was the first question. The second question was what?
Well, we don't have.
That helpful, everybody?
We don't want to zap away your whole lunch, but there's how to increase something or someone's values if they feel
raise it on the value.
Exactly.
How to raise the value. Okay. Yeah. Your values dictate how you perceive, decide, and act. All perceptions are filtered through values. All decisions are filtered through values. All actions are filtered through values. You're going to make every decision based on what you believe will give you the greatest advantage or disadvantage to your values. So if somebody calls you up and says, hey, let's spend some time together. If you don't think that that's going to give you more value than somebody else, you're going to say, well, I'm busy. Can't do that. How many know what I'm talking about? You'll say, no, I just don't have the time for that right now. But if somebody comes along that thinks it's going to help you get what you want, you're going to say, absolutely. And you'll rearrange your schedule to make sure you meet up because you think it's going to give you an advantage or a disadvantage to what you value. So if you look at if you want to raise a value, you have to stack up the advantages. So anytime you associate more advantages and disadvantages, you increase the probability of acting on it. And anytime you want to lower that value, you create disadvantages. So let's say you would like to build, I'm just going to pick wealth as an example, because that's the most common one. You want to build wealth up on your value list, or a relationship on your value list, or health on your value list, whatever it may be. You take the proven action steps that are proven to enhance that area. So these are action steps that improve, that we know enhance health. These are the action steps we know increase the probability of communication and drawing in relationships. These are the actions that we know that build wealth. Proven action steps. You take those action steps and you stack up how is doing this action step, daily or weekly or monthly, specifically going to be an advantage to me and help me fulfill my highest value, my second highest value, my third highest value. How's it going to help me spiritually, mentally, career, financial, family, social, and physical? And as I stack up enough benefits, I can make anything go up in value. I was in Sydney, Australia, getting ready to teach the Breakthrough Experience, which is one of my signature programs. There's a lovely lady that snuck in early. We weren't letting everybody in until I had all the mics ready and everything else, but she snuck in. She's sitting right in the front row. She got the best seat she could. She says, oh, Dr. Demartini, I've been wanting to come to the Breakthrough for so long. I finally made it. I said, great. And she says, yeah, I came because I want to find my soulmate. Now, there was a guy also there who was eating a breakfast mac that was kind of gross, kind of unruly hair, dressed kind of poor, whatever. And I figured I'd play a trick on her. I said, so you're looking for your soulmate? She goes, yeah. I said, what about this guy? And she kind of looked over her shoulder like this and went, ugh, no, 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 no. She was like, oh God, no. I mean, almost offended. And I said, you're not interested in him? She goes, no, that's definitely not my type. I said, do you know who he is? You don't recognize him? Should I recognize him? You don't recognize this guy? No, I don't. He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. The reason why we've got him in here is he's incognito, dressed down, so people won't recognize him. But we let him in because out there, the people would recognize him. Really? Yeah. He's got planes. He's got beautiful homes around the world. He travels nonstop. He hangs out with the A-list. He's presidents, prime ministers, you name it. Famous people left him. Michelle Pfeiffer dated him for a while, and she goes, God, I wish I'd have been able to keep them. He was just too busy for Michelle. And says, and I just started stacking up all the fantasies. Yeah, he has his own private jets and he's got his yachts and he travels the world and meets amazing people. And I've been told from what I've heard, he's a great lover and all this. I just stacked up everything a female would probably fantasize just for fun. I played with her. When I got through, she said, well, aren't you going to introduce me to him? Now, she changed her perception of him changed. Why? Because I stacked up associations for fun. Now, I told her I was just joking after that, but I had her going for a second. So I was mischievous. But that's what happens. Something you would never imagine you'd be interested in, all of a sudden you're interested in it because I stacked up more advantages and disadvantages to the perception. So if I take the things that are proven to act in building wealth, for instance, making sure you serve people, meet their needs, make sure you take a portion of it and buy assets, automate them. If you do those things and you stack up the advantages, once the advantages are greater than doing anything that you're doing currently, you'll shift and pivot your action. Guaranteed. I can take anybody and change their actions on a daily basis, their habits, by changing their ratios of perceptions. I do it every single week. I watch it happen every week. I can take anything you dislike and I can make you like it and have an orgasm with it. I can take anything you dislike and make you, or like, and make you dislike it. I can make somebody that you're infatuated with and destroy the infatuation by telling you stuff about the person that they didn't know. Make any sense? I had a lady that just despised Donald Trump. And I've known Donald for 30-something years. And so I had enough information. So I started stacking up things that I know in her values would be valuable. And by the time I was doing it, I said, well, you really had me change my perspective of Donald. And I said, great. And I just did it to show her how easy it is to change your perceptions. And we judge people based on ratios of perceptions. If I change the ratios of perception, I change how you see things, and your values can change. And the values are coming from voids, which are judgments of ratios of perceptions. So if I change them, I can change your voids, what's missing in your life, and what you want to be fulfilled in life. And I do that. I get people to come and say, look, I've never been able to save or get any money ahead. Can you help me? Boom, I can get them and shift them in a direction where they can get wealth. Or I've had women that come up to me and said, I want a soulmate, but no matter what I do, I can't seem to find them. I said, you have unconscious motives to protect you from them, because each of the past relationships you've had, you've been wounded by them. And you swear, I don't want to ever do that again. And you stacked up so many of them, you're protecting yourself. So I show them how to change the perceptions of the past, change the ratios of perceptions. And all of a sudden, and within 3 weeks, they've got a relationship because they're unconsciously protecting themselves. So it's all ratios of perception. And you change the ratios, you change the positions of where things are on the value hierarchy. The more values you and more benefits, the higher it goes. More drawbacks, the lower it goes. It's just changing ratios of perceptions. Not that difficult. It just takes work and honest answers. Got to really find out something that's a benefit to something.
Great, great, great. 2 more points. This one's going to be a shorter one, but ultimately you were discussing conversation, social, external dialogue, and you mentioned about attention. And so when someone is inspired, they'll have attention surplus. And if someone is not inspired, they'll have attention deficit. Can you expand on the neurochemistry and how ultimately balancing perceptions is the ultimate bio and neuro hack, and how our symptomatology is an expression of balanced or imbalanced perceptions? Now, I know it's a loaded question, but
well, first of all, you have an area in your brain called the relay station, which is called the thalamus. And all sensory information from the senses and the special senses from the spine, they go through the spine and go into this brainstem. It goes up through the thalamus to become consciously aware in the cortex. That's the basic schematic. That thalamus and the reticular activating system, a spinal reticular tract from the spine, filter information before it goes up to conscious awareness. You can't be, would you agree when you look at something, some people may look at a bottle on a desk, some people may look at a pad on a desk, some people may look at the iPad or the phone on the desk. Everybody's got a different attention on something on a desk. So they're filtering out, and one becomes the ground and one becomes the object that you're looking at. The rest of it fades out, and the thing that's important to you, that's on your value, you notice. So for instance, if I go shopping and my girlfriend shops, we're going to notice two different things and go to two different directions in the mall, because what we're interested in is different. We don't notice that. We just block that out. We go notice this. So we filter our sensory perceptions, because if we didn't, we would be overwhelmed by infinity. We have too many stimuli. So we filter it out to be able to get the pertinent stimuli that allows us to survive and thrive. So our hierarchy of values is determining what we let in and what we let out. If your highest value is mothering and you have 3 beautiful children and you're 35 years old and you have 3 kids under the age of 5, when you walk in a mall, if your highest value is children and you spend your day with your children, you're going to see children's clothes, children's items, children's health items, children's education items, children's play items. You're not going to see business items, the Wall Street Journal, a computer store, a tie store. How many understand that? You're not going to do that. You're probably not even going to go shop. If your kids are most important, you're not even going to go shopping for clothes. Your kids are going to be priority. If your highest value as a woman is dedicated to finding a wealthy guy, you're probably going to go to the gym. You're probably going to go to get nice clothes, try to get the best perfume and makeup and everything else, because that's what's valuable to you, because you're trying to score an opportunity. So your hierarchy of values is what you're going to notice in the environment and what you're going to pick out of the environment and what you're going to delete. So you have attention surplus in high values and attention deficit in low, because otherwise you'd be overwhelmed by infinity and trivia. So you're automatically filtering your reality through your values. So when you know your values, I'm constantly looking for information that will help me teach. Whether I'm traveling or wherever I'm at, if I'm in a mall or if I'm in an airport, I find myself finding a bookstore, or I'm online, or I'm doing something that's trying to feed my mind, or I'm talking a conversation on something that might help me towards my teaching. So you filter your reality, you filter your opportunities, you filter your ideas according to your values. So if you want to increase your learning of something, you got to ask, how specifically is learning this topic helping me fulfill my top 3 values? And the more links you make, the more you absorb that information, retain the information, and apply the information. So your reality is based on that. Now, your health, if you're living by your highest values and you feel that everything is on the way, not in the way, you're more objective, you're more neutral, you're more balanced, you're more in your executive center, you're more self-governed, you're not emotional, you're more objective, you have less symptomatology, you have more wellness quotient, more resilient, more adaptable. But if you're trying to live in somebody else's values, raise your hand if you've ever tried to please somebody and trying to live in somebody else's values and had internal conflict. The moment you do that, you lateralize, you distract, you get your amygdala active, you polarize yourself, you get autonomic imbalances, you create distress, you get epigenetic impact on cells, and the cells create physiological change. Your immune system goes down, your microbiome gets wobbled and all over the place. You tend to get too much ghrelin and overeat, or too much leptin and undereat, because of the stress, the fear of loss of something you're seeking, or the fear of gain of something, fear of a gain of something you don't want. And it creates these imbalances and symptoms. And the symptoms are feedbacks to guide you back to authenticity, because you've gotten off track from what's priority. So symptomatology and illness is a feedback, if it's interpreted properly, to try to get you back to priority in life, trying to make you authentic. Your symptoms aren't evil things. Your symptoms are your friends, if it's interpreted properly. They become enemies when you live in a fantasy that symptoms are bad and you take a medication to get rid of them instead of learn from them. They're guides. How many have ever pigged out and overeaten before? Okay, and then wake up the next morning, you got gas and bloat and cramps, and your eyes are puffy, and you feel fatigued, and you're having difficulty breathing, and you got oily skin or whatever. Now, you go to a medical doctor and you go, well, I've got bloat. Well, here's an anti-flatulent. Oh, I've got a stomach pain. Well, here's an antacid. I've got a oily skin. Well, here's a cream for your skin. I've got a headache. Well, here's an analgesic. He just gets rid of the symptoms instead of making you know you pig out. Your symptoms are trying to let you know you're not designed to pig out. Stop. Look at what you're doing. Your behavior is creating your symptomatology, and your psychology is your symptomatology. People that listen to their physiology and psychology, know how to interpret it, are wiser than people that go to the white coat guys that try to tell them a pharmaceutical. That's a last resort, not the first resort.
Beautiful. It's a powerful statement. Symptoms are an expression of our autonomics and trying to align us back to balance. One more point. This is ultimately why we're here right now. And this is why I'm so inspired to share you with the community and introduce you to as many people as I can. And what we've done is we've created a 12-month mastermind, because let's face it, 1 hour with Dr. John is just not enough. How many of us could keep on going for hours and hours and hours? So what we've done is we've created a 12-month structured curriculum where Dr. John is going to be speaking to us, for those that want to participate in the 12-month, every other month for 12 months. So that's 6 calls, in addition to my flagship gut reset program, where I teach autonomics and digestion and how to weave in and out of balancing perceptions. And when you understand the autonomics, and when you understand digestion, when you understand symptomatology, then we can relate it to our higher values and so forth. So Dr. John, we had several people enroll, which is very inspiring. And I just wanted you to explain the value and what individuals can realize being coached by you for 6 calls, but over the course of 12 months, as well as ultimately covering 7 pillars, the seven pillars of life. What we can do that for.
Well, when I was 17 years old, I had a dream to be a teacher traveling the world. At 18, after watching a show called Kung Fu with David Carradine, I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember that, maybe, but he kept referring back to, he was Grasshopper, and he kept referring back to his Shaolin master. So at 18, I said, I want to master my life. I want to be a master. I really didn't know what that meant yet, but sounded cool. So I started asking, what exactly is a mastery of life? In the pursuit of trying to find out how do you master your life, I ended up breaking life at age 18 into 7 areas. My intellectual quest, my business quest, my financial quest, my family quest, social quest, health quest, and spiritual inspirational quest. So I then set out and started master planning out my life. How do I want that to look? Because I realized if I don't decide, other people decide. And I mean, you know that everybody out there is trying to project their values onto you. And if you're not clear about your own, you're going to probably be swayed by other people easily. If you don't have something important to do, it's easy to fall prey to their expectations. So I said, okay, I want to master that areas. I said, I want to create original ideas that serve human beings across the planet, some original ideas that nobody's thought of, that's brought to the planet, that's original, that makes a difference. I wanted to create a global company where I had students in every country around the world. I wanted to have financial independence. I want to have a global family. I want to have social influence and meet amazing people and travel the world and meet people from every country and meet celebrities and people that have global influence. I wanted to have physical vitality. I'm 70 now, this next couple of months, and I'm got more energy than most people. And I want to be inspired and create a movement of inspiration across the planet. I wrote that out when I was 18 years old. And I started master planning out my life. Now, in order to do that, I made a commitment to devour every piece of literature that's anything that might assist me in any of those areas. So I spent 52 years now devouring those areas. How do we maximize our spiritual quest? I studied all the religions, 3,000 different religions, trying to find information, existential philosophers, mystics, anybody that's in the area of that. I've met tons of gurus and teachers, anything to do with mind information. I studied all the Nobel Prize winners. I studied all the philosophers, anything that might grow the mind. And I've been basically standing on the shoulders of giants throughout these 7 areas, business leaders, financial leaders. I've devoured them. Anything that might do that to try to enhance the empowerment of those areas. Now, depending on how many hours I have, I can give you I've got enough to keep me busy 365 days, 14 hours a day, easily and nonstop with information. So we got 6 sessions. I'm going to do what I can to distill down the most important information. I think they'll be helpful to help people empower those areas if that's of intrigue. So we'll hit those 7 areas. So you don't have to stand. You can stand on my shoulders and save yourself an enormous amount of work because you're probably not as neurotic as I am in research. Maybe you are, but I've got a track record of doing that as many hours as a human possible. I slept 4 hours a day for 35 years so I could research.
And we are eternally grateful for that. And that's why we're here. And that's my mission, is to just share your knowledge as much as I can. And so I was speaking to Alana. You haven't done sort of a mastermind, this type of program in a little while. It's a little bit different. And again, it's
not this exact format. No, I got little mastermind and programs I got coming up on the ship that I'm doing in Sydney, and one in, I think there's 2 in Sydney and there's one coming up. I had one in Japan. I got another one, I think, in another city. But this type of mastermind, particularly 7 areas, those are my favorite topics. That's been my life's work.
Yeah. And so I just put the link up for those that are interested. There are some of you that have already enrolled, and I'm very inspired and very grateful to be working with you. And this is going to be a very intimate group. And it's not often that you have an opportunity to learn from Dr. John in this capacity. And your time is very, very valuable. And the rate that I'm offering this course is quite minuscule in contrast to what other coaches and masterminds are offering. So if you guys are interested, click the link and you can enroll, you can secure your spot. And I know that Dr. John and myself will work very hard to offer value and give you structure to navigate an entire year through challenges and roadblocks and obstacles. Because if you can literally stand on the shoulders of Dr. John, your success is inevitable in all 7 areas. I have no doubt.
So yeah, I look forward to being able to share it, because that's one of the things I don't have anything really higher in my values than doing that. I learned from Zig Ziglar when I was 20 years old. If you help other people get what they want to get in life, you get what you want to get in life. So I altruistically love to serve other people. I'm narcissistically love to serve myself, and we both deserve to get what our dreams are.
You've got a few more minutes for your lunch, Dr. John.
Yeah, I got about 6 minutes to eat.
Okay. So thank you for doing this. Enjoy your lunch. For everyone that's on the call, please stay. We can do a social and we can kind of do a summary of all of this if you've got questions. And for those that enroll, we will see Dr. John in his birthday month, which is November.
Hey, November.
Yeah. And I will see you in Australia, South Africa, and Honolulu.
I know. I saw that on the thing. You'll be helping and facilitating, helping out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's an honor. Thank you.
And thank you also for the summit we had, the expo we had recently. That was an amazing day. And so thank you for all being there, and also giving me the opportunity to share a bit, because I'm repressed. I love it when I get to let out some steam.
Everyone enjoyed it. I certainly did.
They survived it. Did they join the 12-step survivors of Demartini?
Well,
did somebody come in with a fire hydrant and spray them all to keep the fire? Because they were probably.
Guys, you're more than welcome to unmute yourselves and chime in if you survived Dr. Demartini's presentation at the expo.
Well, Dr. John, I'll share, like, one of the highlight moments for me was when you took the stage and we're standing there and seeing Brendan to the side, seeing him realize the dream that those of us close to him, know he's had for so long, to bring you to the people in person. That was my highlight moment. So to witness, like, you helping Brendan live that dream was awesome.
Yeah, there was a tearjerker sitting inside. That was a very special moment. Still is right now, thinking about it. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so everybody else is they did survive. They're still here.
Well, if they want more,
you're the 5 survivors out of the group. The rest of them all commit suicide after me.
Okay, so I got a quick question.
You got to be prepared for bad jokes, though.
I got a quick one in talking about the values and things. There's a little French Canadian sort of an old wives' tale or a little thing that we did with Brendan. I forget what the outcome was, but at a one-year-old child, you put them at one side of the room, and on the other side of the room, you put a bottle, the baby bottle, maybe a bottle of alcohol, a book. Usually it's the Bible, but whatever book, and money. Coins, paper, whatever. You put those three things kind of sort of separated by a little bit. You put the baby at the other side of the room, and then you let the baby go. And the baby goes for one thing. And you write down diligently what the baby selected. And that's what's going to be, in the baby's head, a value thing. That's my little, I'd like you to think about that. And I'm going to ask you about it next time.
I will respond to that. If you go to a baby crib, and you toss in something that is perceived valuable, they'll stick it in their mouth, they'll look at it, they'll observe it, they'll suck on it, they'll play with it, and they'll hold it in there, and they won't, if you try to take it away, they'll react. But if you stick something in there that they don't want, they'll push it away, they'll cry, they'll push, kick, whatever it is, they don't want it there. So they have a topology. They already have their own proxemics at that age. They already know what they like and dislike at a very young age. So what you're saying is another way of saying the same basic message. Their space and what they seek is a reflection of their values.
Actually, that's a really cool point. And I know
I can tell you what I did. I went right for the breast.
Thank you.
Pardon me for my sense of humor, but I went right for my mom.
They're not, a lot of these members aren't used to your bad jokes, but get ready. Jokes. There's more.
Yeah. It's all talk, no action. I talk a lot, but I don't do much. It's all just tease.
Interestingly enough, we commence in October after the gut reset, and Cash, who you don't know, but he's the founder of a genetics testing company. We're going to be tying in genetics with the beginning of this commencement of the 12-month mastermind, because when individuals have an idea of their blueprint, then they can navigate their teachings and their learnings a little bit easier.
Wasn't there somebody representing him at the conference at the lunch?
He was there. Oh, yeah.
Because I remember somebody talking about a genetic testing.
Yeah, he was there. That was Cash.
Yeah.
He left for lunch though.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but I remember talking to somebody about it. I was curious about it.
Yeah, I'll introduce you. He's a sharp guy.
Yeah, cool.
So he's part of the mastermind as well. Okay, Dr. John, go have lunch. Thank you so much for doing this. And we'll see you in November. And then I'll see you, obviously, international at all those breakthroughs.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, thank you for everybody for enduring it. Did he pay you to see me? Because he had to have paid you to be able to see me, because that would be overwhelming, that the pain you'd have to go through. I'll see you soon. Look forward to seeing you in November.
Okay, Dr. John. See you. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, everyone. So that was, I don't know if that's your first sort of experience with Dr. John or not, but there's so much there. There's so much depth. And that's why we've created this 12-month mastermind, because if you align yourself with a living legend like him, and he truly is a pioneer, you're going to get the best. This is why I don't like learning from new age gurus and people of that nature. I want to learn from the pioneers. And so I have absolute certainty that whatever your challenges are, or whatever you're trying to get out of this whole calendar year, you'll be able to get a lot out of it with this mastermind. And that's why I'm doing it. So I put the link in the chat. You can certainly click on that. I'll put it there one more time. And for those that are interested in the price, it's not expensive. It's $3,369 Canadian for a full year. Just 1 hour with Dr. John when he does his consultations is $3,000 US. And he very rarely does these consultations. So I invite all of you, if you're interested, if you've got questions, if you want to embark on a 12-month journey for cost of less than a car payment a month, I think this is the best opportunity for you to just maximize and catapult yourself into an expanded awareness and success in all 7 areas of life. And that's what we're going to cover. But it all starts with the gut. And we're going to start next Sunday, or Sunday, let's see here. Sunday the 15th is our first live training. We're going to have several live trainings every Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that commences with the Gut Reset. This is my flagship program. And it's the same sort of thing. I can't teach individuals how to completely rehabilitate their gut in 1 hour. And there's a lot of people on, I see Elaine right now. I see Claire. I can't see anymore. I'm working on my MacBook right now. So I can't expand the rest of all of you beautiful faces. So I apologize if I'm leaving anyone out, but I know that you're there. I can see you in the chats. This program changes people's lives, because when you truly understand how to digest food optimally, then it puts you in a position to digest the rest of the environment and any other area that you're trying to pursue properly and efficiently and adequately. So that's why we're doing this, and I'm actually including it for free. So we start on the 15th, which is Sunday. We've got 6 live calls every single week to really set you up for success. And then we have a live training in October with Cash. He's the first guest. And then the schedule is still being built as we speak. I know Dr. John is going to be speaking in November. And then all of the speakers have their own live call once a month. And I will be offering live calls throughout the entire year. So you're looking at minimum 2 calls a month, as well as a private app, a private Facebook group. You'll have access to some of my graduates, my facilitators, and they can offer additional coaching and support. So you're really going to be part of a very small, intimate community that will help you in any area of your life. And it all, like I said, it all starts with the gut. If any of you have questions, you're more than welcome to unmute yourselves. Happy to stick around for a little while. And again, thank you so much for taking this time on a Friday to share some time with Dr. John. As you know, he's a big role model and mentor of mine. And I attribute a lot of my success to his teachings. So any questions, any feedback, any takeaways? Hey, John, you raised your hand. Go for it. I can't see you. Oh, your webcam's not on. Go for it.
What day? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. What day were you planning to start the reset? If you are.
So the first
15
live
is the first meeting.
Yeah, the first live training is on September the 15th. And ultimately, I'm giving everyone the choice, but ultimately you can start your own gut reset on either the 27th or October the 4th. So that gives everyone lots of time. And so for everyone that has never met John before, John's one of my graduates of the Gut Reset. He's also a training to become a facilitator. And he came to me wanting to just optimize his gut and learn knowledge, learn about nutrition. This guy's a beast of a human. He's got a big, beautiful, muscular chest, and he's learning lots. Hey, John?
Yes, I fall in the rabbit hole. There's so much to learn.
I don't know if I should apologize or thank you, but it is a rabbit hole, that's for sure.
When we get really old, and then we can say thank you.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that. And that's just it. When we make these sacrifices now, we avoid certain foods now in order for us to have a long, prolonged life. But we don't know until we get there. But certainly we know through science and studies and anecdotal evidence and the hundreds of people that I've worked with, if you don't live this gut-friendly lifestyle and you don't balance your perceptions, if you don't make these choices today, you will live a life in chronic degeneration. You'll be hanging out in a wheelchair. You'll be living in an old age home for the last 15, 20 years, 10 years. And who wants that? So it's tough, right? To have that foresight now, to make the decisions now, to make the ultimate sacrifices from some of these foods and lifestyle behaviors and things like that. But you just have to have faith. And so that's my mission. It's just to make as many healthy choices as we can and teach this to all of you. And I'm seeing wonderful, successful students that can attest to that. I just wish I could see all of you right now. If I was on my desktop, I could, but I can't do it right now. Any other questions? My mom.
Okay, so I'm just sort of struck by the variety of folks who are here today, and we're all completely different. We're all in a different path, and we all represent, you know, there's some bankers and lawyers and therapists, and there's some school teacher, whatever, right? Like we're all in a different trajectory. We're all coming from a different place.
Yep.
And I think that utilizing the values as taught by Demartini and starting with a gut reset, which I'm going to do again, it will help in whatever modality you're in. Going forward, we each have a huge impact on other folks in our lives, people we've met, people we have not met yet, and who and where we show up going forward is, you know, the leaders of tomorrow are, dare I say, you know, in this room today.
Absolutely. And you're gonna learn from many of my mentors and teachers at the beginning of the gut reset for the next 12 weeks or 6 weeks in the gut reset. And Dr. Nandor Baju is one of the first teachers that you're going to learn from. He says that personal trainers, and actually, Natalie, you'll be able to attest to this because Sachin says the patient of today is, what did you say? The patient of today is tomorrow's doctor, something along those lines.
The doctor of the future is the patient.
Right. The doctor of the future is the patient. And Dr. Nandor says the personal trainers, or the first line of defense, personal trainers and health coaches, they are going to be the future's doctors. And so you, all of you right now, have the ability to become a doctor in your own way and become an expert in whatever field it is, learn these applications, and then just share it. And so just as my mom said, whatever aspect, whatever field you're in, you can maximize your output, like I said, by starting with the gut and then catapulting your directive with the additional teachings. So I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that all of you will have massive success with this. And if not, that's okay too. If not, we hope to see you in a year from now, at least at the next expo. This program will be made available for you at any time. You can enroll at any time. So with all that being said, I will include the replay to this in an email. If you're not already part of the Biohacking Expo Facebook group, please join that. That's where we will be continuing messages and communication announcements throughout the year, as well as many of the partners throughout the year are going to offer different discounts and exclusive offerings because there were so many vendors at the expo and they want to give exclusive discounts and they want to promote their products and services. So that Facebook group is going to be just a wealth of information, and you'll be able to use that, as well as, like I said, next year it is confirmed 3 days, downtown Toronto, August the 23rd, 24th, 25th. So it's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Dr. John has already confirmed. And guess what? I'm going to stop the recording right now because I'm not allowed to say this, but I'll say it to you guys. Recording. Now you've heard it first, and now you've already forgotten. So all you can do is just share it with your friends and make little nudges and hints of what to expect next year. So with all that being said, join the Facebook group. I'll share an email to all of you right now with the replay. You can watch this. Join the Facebook group. Stay tuned. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to send me an email. If you want to do a payment plan, maybe you're more than welcome to do that as well. I'm not here to try to make zillions and zillions of dollars off of you. I just want to offer a service that is so valuable that it'll change your life. I've spent tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars on coaches that completely ripped me off. I've been so underwhelmed with programs online from these online gurus that promise the world. And the moment I get in, it's like, this is terrible. What a waste of money. What a letdown. How many of us have been in that position before where you've signed up and you've just been so disappointed? So I've worked my butt off to do the complete opposite. We're going to completely over deliver for this price. And I want to disrupt the whole ecosystem of, 12-month mastermind coachings, because all these people are charging tens and tens of thousands of dollars and they're selfish and they're greedy and they're not being of service. There's a few select coaches that are great. So I want to provide high value. And so that's what we're doing with Dr. John. My mom, one more question. Sure.
Can we share the link
Which link?
that you're sending us? That you're sending us for this previous hour Zoom call?
Sure, of course. So all of you are more than welcome. If you've got friends or people that want to get a taste of Dr. John, you're more than welcome to share this. Absolutely. Of course.
Thank you. Okay.
So do that. And then also for those that attended the live, for those that are waiting for the replays, just be patient. They're coming, they're being rendered and uploaded, and it's taking longer than expected. But again, I just don't want to provide sort of a crummy video quality. I want it to be top notch. So I'll add everyone into a private group. And what I'll do is I'll add Dr. John's lesson because it's been uploaded or it's ready. So you guys can at least have access to that in the meantime. Any questions, send me an email. Thank you so much. I hope this was valuable. And I look forward to working with all of you over the course of the next 12 months, along with Dr. John and the amazing speakers. So thank you all once again. Have a nice afternoon.